Okay, greetings once again, guys, and welcome to another edition by iCampSA. In this edition, we're looking at statistics, and this is grade 12 mathematics. Our focus will be the 2026 pre-June exam, and we'll be looking at the one which was written in Mpumalanga. So let's go ahead and have a look. So question 1 reads, the table below shows the daily time or the daily study time in minutes recorded by a Matric learner over a duration of 21 days in a specific month. Okay, so this is how long they studied per day. Okay, and then we are required 1.1 to calculate the average time spent studying. So we're looking at question 1.1. So in order for me to answer this one, what I'm going to do is to pivot first. Okay, and what I need you to note is that whenever you're dealing with statistics, always sort the data. Okay, so what I mean is that it should be in ascending order. So meaning we want the numbers to be from the smallest to the biggest. And if you observe carefully, 31, 32, 40, 40, 41, 44, 46, 47, 49, 50, 51, 59, 67, 69, 69, 72. So overall, if you look carefully, these numbers have been sorted already. Okay, so I'm just going to note them down. So we have 31, 32, we have 40, and we have 40, 41, 44. I'm going to populate the rest. So these are the numbers now populated. So what is very important, and I'll need us to later draw our box and whisker, is to have a feel of how many numbers are this, but we are told 21 days. So this means that our n is going to be 21. So now if we go to the very first question where we are looking at the average, you'll remember that the average, all what you do is you sum the data, then you divide by n. So that is how you get the average, which is going to be denoted by x with the dash there at the top. So our average is going to be, so what I'm going to do is take these numbers, and you would have your calculator. So you just need to take all of these and then you sum them. Okay, so you'll have a plus, 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 plus. Then furthermore, we have another plus. So let's make some space here. So some numbers are hidden there. Okay. Then plus, 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 plus. And all of this is going to be divided by 21, guys. So you would go to your calculator and put in this calculation here. Okay. So if you go ahead and you use your calculator, you'll see that our mean, the numerator, when you do summing, it's going to be 1219, and we'll divide by 21, of which we end up getting 58.05. Okay, we're getting 58.05. Remember, this is going to be minutes. Okay, yeah, let's leave it as that, mean. So that is the average which we end up getting. Okay, so we can just say average time studying. So that is this 58.05 minutes a day. Okay. So let's go ahead now and have a look at the next question, which is 1.2. So we are required to calculate the standard deviation of the time spent studying. Okay, so we just need to remember that whenever we're looking at standard deviation, which previously I've just indicated as SD, which is indicated by this sign that wants to look like a 6. Our standard deviation, if you remember, is the summation of x minus, where x is the actual data, So we'll have x minus the mean, and all of this will be squared, and this will be divided by n. So I should make this to be small and put in a square root, okay? That. So, okay, let's make this small. And then we put in our square root. Like that, okay? So that is what we are looking at. So what you can do is you can go to your calculator and do this maths here. So your calculator has an option where you can easily find the standard deviation after putting all of this. But what you could do if you want to calculate this manually, you can have x as an example. Then you have x dash, which is our mean. And then you can have x minus x dash, like that. Then x minus x dash all squared. Let me sort this out. Square root there. So you could have this as an option where what you're going to have now is 31 and then 32, essentially all of the data which we have. So after having this table, what we can now do is to go ahead and compute the difference where we have 31 minus 58.05. And what you will observe is that you end up getting negative 27.05, okay? Then you go to the next one, which is 32. You'll see that you'll get negative 26.05. You go to the next one where you're doing 40 minus that 58.05. And you end up getting negative 18.05. The next one, we still have a 40, so that becomes negative 18.05, and we carry on. We're at 41, so that's just one less, it becomes negative 17.05, okay? Then we go to the next one, which is 44, so that should be 3 less, so you're getting negative 13.05. So I'll continue and populate the rest. So this is all the differences that we have done. And then what is next would be for you. And remember, if you put in these on your calculator, guys, you have a function for statistics that will allow you to be able to draw the mean, the median, the standard deviation, and so on. But here I'm just going to show it anyway. So what we need to do is to square this number now. So if you go and say negative 27.05 squared, you will see that the answer which you will get will be 731.70, okay? And then you go to the next one, which is negative 26.05, and you square that one. What you get is 678.60, okay? Then you go and square the next one, which is 18.05 all squared. You end up getting 325.80, okay? Then to the next one, which is still the same thing, 18.05. So that is going to be 325.80. Then we go to the next one, which is minus 17.05. You square that, you end up getting 290.70, okay? Then off to the next one, 13.05. You square that, you end up getting 170.30. Next one, 12.05. You square that, you end up getting 145.20. So I'm going to do the same procedure for the rest. So what we are now going to do is we are going to sum this value that is here so that we can get what is this sigma notation there. So I'm going to my calculator, I'm going to save it. So I'm going to put in, if you look at the top, 731.70 plus 678.60, and then plus 325.8, and then plus another 325.8, so that's times 2, then plus 290.70, 0.7. I'll add the rest. So the answer that I end up getting when I do the summation here, that is going to be, it is 6754.9. Okay, so what this means is we can now quickly put in the n and find the standard deviation. So this means our standard deviation is therefore, it is the square root of 6754.9, and all of this is divided by 21. So let's quickly deal with that. So square root of the answer divided by 21, and what we end up getting is our standard deviation is something like 17.93. Okay, so this here, obviously there's a lot of rounding off errors. Let me just double check. Yeah. Okay, so this is what we get, but by looking at what has been done, we are supposed to get approximately 17 by, according to the calculator, 17.65. Okay, so this here is what I'm going to use. So I'll need you to go and punch in on your calculator and see what you actually get. So when we go the long way, we get slightly different answer. So we'll just use this one, okay? So they say calculate the standard deviation. So it would be that. But in your calculator, all what you would need to do is to put in these numbers, it will calculate. So I will say here, use your calculator. So no need for long steps. Okay, so this is just for what you call it exposure, in case they want you to calculate it the long way and they gave you many marks. No need for long calculations. Okay, so this is very important, guys. So now that we have the standard deviation, of which we are going to use 17.65, we now need to figure out what is happening here. So they say if the time spent during studies lies within one standard deviation of the mean, would this be considered an effective study time? Okay, so let's go ahead and deal with this question. So we need to find one standard deviation from the mean. Okay, so what this means is we will have two values, guys. So we will have the upper limit, okay, the deviation up. So we'll have our upper limit. How do you get your upper limit? For your upper limit, you take your standard deviation and then you add your mean. Okay, that's your upper limit. And then we have our lower limit. So for the lower limit, what we are going to do is we are going to take the mean and then subtract the standard deviation. So it's the mean minus the standard deviation. So even here, maybe let's write it like this. So it's the mean plus our standard deviation. Okay, and if you remember, the mean we found previously to be 58.05. So we found 58.05, and then plus the standard deviation, which is 17.65. Here we're going to have 58.05 minus 17.65. Okay, now if you observe carefully, we are going to get 14.40. Okay, so 14.4. Then for this one, we're going to get, sorry, for the upper one, we are getting 75.7. Then for the lower one, we're getting 40.4. Okay, so now we need to look at if the effective study time is within this interval, then how, effective was this person? Because if you observe carefully, they are saying if the time spent studying lies within 1 deviation, it is considered as effective. So how many of those 21 days would be considered as ineffective study time? So we need to understand that it means whenever we are speaking of effective time, we are speaking of time which will be an element from 40 minutes, 0.4 up until 75.7. This is effective study time. Okay. But we are looking for the time where we are ineffective. So meaning ineffective, it is time that lies out of these boundaries. Okay. So that is what we need to understand, which is that ineffective time is any duration outside the above boundary. Okay, so this is very important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the data and then we explore, which or for how many days were we ineffective. Okay, so if you observe carefully, times that are between what? 40.4 and that. So it means this was effective, this was effective, 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 and even this, okay, up until 75.7. Afterwards, those are ineffective. So these ones here, so let's see if we can get rid. These are ineffective times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 days are ineffective. Okay. So if you observe carefully, we have a total of 7 days. So we have a total of 7, and this is ineffective days. Ineffective days. Okay, that is what we have. So now they said how many of those would be considered ineffective? Yeah, 7 days. We done, guys. That's it. So I hope that you do understand this and the idea of, 1 standard deviation. If they were saying 2, if for example they said 2 standard deviations from mean, how this was going to work is we're going to have our upper boundary being something like our mean plus 2 times the standard deviation, and our lower boundary, I'm sure you can take a guess, it would be the mean minus 2 times the standard deviation. Okay, so it's very important that you guys understand these terms very well. Right, so with this out of the way, let's go and have a look at the next question. So we are required to determine the value of A, B, C up until G. If we are given the following, if we are told that the maximum value is 12, okay, but let's read the first part. In the table below, A, B, C, and D, and so on represent a data set. And here's what's very important, guys, written in ascending order. So that ascending order there means from biggest to the smallest. Sorry, from smallest to biggest. So they said ascending order, which means these numbers are written from smallest to the biggest. So that makes our life to be very easy because we are told the maximum value is 42. And we know that maximum value is G. Okay, so this means that our maximum value, which is G, this will be 42. So there we go, we're done. Therefore, G equals 42. Okay. And then we are told the range is 35. Okay. So we are told that the range equals 35. But we need to remember something about the range. So our range is always given by our max minus our mean. Okay. We, however, have our max. So this will be 35 equals our max value is 42. Okay. Minus our minimum value. So we can then transpose. Right. And we just transpose the other way around. So we take that to the side and we just take this to the side. So you will see that our minimum value, mean, it will be 42 minus 35, of which the answer which we end up getting is 7. But when we look at our diagram, you will see that the minimum value, when we look at this, is A. So our minimum value, that will be equal to A. And we just found that the minimum value is 7. So therefore, the value of A becomes 7. Okay, very easy. And then we are told that the median is 23. Okay, so let's go and deal with the median. So median, remember, is Q2. Okay, so if you look carefully, the first thing that I want to quickly note is N. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our N, the number of data sets, that is 7. So let's quickly copy this and see where do we find our median. So you have your A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. So we are supposed to be in the middle. Okay. So if you look carefully, if you say A, then B, B, C, C. So the middle term, which becomes our median, becomes E. Okay. So E becomes our median. That's the middle term. And we are told that the median is 23. So this means E, therefore, is 23. So therefore, E is 23. Then they tell us something else. We are told that E is 2 times C. Okay. So we can easily now deal with that. We are also told that E equals 2 times C. So if we're looking for C, therefore C will be half of E. Okay. So my apologies. The middle term, guys, should be D. So the middle term should be D there. So the median, so sort that out. D is the one that will be 23. So therefore, D equals 23. Okay, not E. Right. With now this out of the way, let's go and have a look at the next one, where they are saying the difference between the median and upper quantile is 14. So let's have a look at where is the upper quantile. So if you look carefully, if we are here G and we are here, so the upper quantile becomes F, okay, which is Q3. So if you observe carefully, our upper quartile, which is Q3, that will simply be F. Okay, but we are told something, which is that The difference between the median and the upper quartile is 4. So what does this mean? It means that if we take Q3 minus the median, remember, is Q2, guys. So this one here is Q2. So minus Q2, we are told that this will be 14. Right. So this means that we can find our Q3 now, because you can transpose Q2. So our Q3 will simply be Q2 plus 14, which is 23 plus 14. So if you observe carefully, that should be 37. Let me just confirm. Yep, we're getting 37. That is Q3. But if you observe carefully, Q3 is F. So therefore, F becomes 37. Okay. So I hope that this does make sense. Let's have a look at the next statement. The interquartile range is 22. Okay. So we are told interquartile range equals 22. So what does this mean? It means Q3 minus Q1, that becomes 22. Okay. So we can solve for Q1, where Q1 can be gotten by doing Q3 minus 22. So our Q1 will be, Q3 is 37. So we have 37 minus 22. So if you observe carefully, 37 minus 22, you end up getting 15. Okay. And that becomes your Q1. But if we look carefully, you'll see that you can find your Q1 actually. Star star, this becomes your Q1. So meaning our Q1 equals B. So Q1 equals B, of which it is equal to 15. What does this mean? It means that the value of B is therefore 15. Okay, we've used this one here. Now we are told that E is equal to times C. Okay, so we're told that E equals 2 times C, and guess what? We don't have E, we don't have C. But then we are later told that the mean is 25. So what we can do is we can actually use the mean, because we know that the mean will simply be A plus B plus C plus D plus E plus F plus G. And all of this will be divided by 7. Okay, we already have much of these values here. A we do have, because we did find the minimum. So let's go ahead and plug in what we have. So if you observe carefully, we'll end up having 7 plus 15, then plus C, which we don't have, plus 23, which is our D, median, and then plus E, which we don't have, plus 37 for Q3, and then plus 42 for the max. And all of this will be divided by 7, and this will be equal to 25. So let's copy this and go to the next page and see how best we can, simplify it. So let's copy and paste here. So remember that we were given that C or E is 2 times C. Okay. So we can make, a simplification there to say, if we take the 7 and we multiply it. So let me maybe just add up the numerator. So let's take the 7 multiply 25. So 7 times 25. And what we end up getting is 175. Okay, so we end up getting 175 equals. So remember that we said E is 2 times C. So this means I'm going to have C plus 2 times C because of E. Then I have a 7 that I need to add with the 15, the 23 with the 37, and with the 42. So that becomes 124. So if you look carefully, this becomes 3c equals 175 plus 124. So we can transpose this and get 175 minus 124, which then becomes 51 equals 3 times c. Okay. Then we can get c by doing 51 divided by 3. So 51 divided by 3, that gives us 17. So therefore, c becomes 17. And we know that e is 2 times c, which means we have 2 times 17. 2 times 17, you should remember, it's 34. So we therefore have all of our answers. So let's quickly note them down in summary here. So this was a very easy statistics problem, guys. I hope that you were able to answer it clearly. So if you observe carefully, A we found as 7, B we found as 15, C we just found now as 17, D the median was 23, and then E is 2 times C, which is 34, and then F is 37, Q3, and then G, the maximum is 42. So this is what they were expecting the learners to be able to do for this question. So I hope that you do understand and you follow every step that we undertook here. So please make sure that you read the questions carefully, you understand your basics, and you should be able to get these questions correct. Let's pause here for now. Cheers, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please share with friends, invite them, share with them so that they can pass just like yourself. This here, once again, is brought to you by iCampSA. Cheers, guys. Have a lovely one. Take care.